Welcome to our very first episode of Rebuilding You, where we dive deep into topics on self-development to discover and rebuild ourselves into the best versions that we want to be.
So I just wanted to tell you guys that even though we posted an IGTV about a week ago, our main content is really these kind of videos where we make discussions on a specific topic, and we will be posting a video on YouTube and the audio file on our Spotify, which is our podcast. So you guys can subscribe to our YouTube and also follow us on Spotify.
Yeah, and also we were supposed to film together, but because of the COVID-19 thing, we're all doing social distancing. So that's why you see us with our earphones and like the different backgrounds at the back.
Yeah, so if you hear any random noises or sounds, it's because we still have family members running right outside our bedrooms, and also please bear with the change of lighting.
Yeah. So, okay, anyway, let's jump right into the topic, which is, as you can see from the title, Pursuing Perfection. So, Jamin, why did we choose to talk about perfection?
Okay, so I had a friend. She was interning with this company a couple of months back, and she called me one day and she was telling me how she was struggling with the new work environment and just this whole job that she was doing, right? But from the way that she described it, she told me that her main cause of stress was really because she was unconsciously putting a lot of pressure on herself to perform well, to not make any mistakes, and to not mess up, because she wanted to show or prove to her seniors and colleagues that she's capable, right? So it also led me to think, like, why is it that so many of us, almost most of us, have this unconscious tendency to expect ourselves to always strive for a perfection, to achieve a perfection, and to not make any mistakes, and also to never mess up ever. And I think the main reason why is because we have this need for acceptance and also approval.
Yeah, and I also like the way you phrased it as a need, because it is a fundamental human need. Like in the 6 human needs by Tony Robbins, one of them is connectedness, which is like the feeling of belonging and closeness and like acceptance. And also like in the book Sapiens by Yuval Harari, you read it too,
Yeah,
right?
I've read it.
Yeah, he said like long time ago, our ancestors, like the human species, this need for acceptance was drilled into us, because if we were to be kicked out of the pack or like the tribe, then we will be out there fending for ourselves against all the predators. So
it's like a survival strategy.
Yeah, because like if you were not accepted, then it would literally mean death for you. But now in the modern world, of course that's not true anymore, but we still have this need in us.
And also I think he's mentioned in the book as well that another survival strategy mindset that was wired in our brains is dissatisfaction. The constant repetition of dissatisfaction, no matter what we have achieved. So for example, today you may have achieved something, tomorrow you would look for something else to achieve, something bigger and better. So that's kind of a survival strategy back then, because in order to survive, we just had to keep on improving our lifestyles, you know, inventing something new to ensure our survival and stuff like that.
Yeah, and even like when we consume media, like scrolling through Instagram or like watching movies and dramas and stuff, it gives us, it unconsciously tells us that if we don't look a certain way, or we don't have the fashion trend, or we don't have all these things or products, then we are not enough. And so it gives us this feeling of dissatisfaction, and we always have to like strive for more external stuff in order to be happy, in order to be enough and approve.
Yeah, I think it also has something to do with how fast the world is coming up with all these new inventions, all these new products. And even though honestly I believe that a lot of these products, like skincare, for example, like a lot of them are actually very similar to each other. The ingredients are almost the same, the function is almost the same. In fact, our skin doesn't even need so much, you know, but it's the way the marketing is done. It's like if you don't own this, then you are losing out, you know. And there are just so many choices out there where so you just feel so pressured to buy something. The temptation is so real.
Yeah, for me, I've realized that since young, I've been putting this pressure of being perfect on myself. Like if I molded myself into this perfect person, then I would get approval from other people like my parents or like my peers. And it was only when I started becoming more self-aware that I realized that I was putting unnecessary pressure and like a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety on myself on things that I may not even want. Like it may not even matter that much to me. So I think sometimes we can think like, is this really what I want, or is this idea something that was put into my head by other people? Like it could be something that my parents or my relatives or my friends or like all the auntie uncles or even like our society culture as a whole put into our heads, like, oh, you know, you must go to school, you have to go to college, and then these are the list of all the professional respected careers,
the formation of the universal pathway of success.
Yeah, exactly. So but is that really what I want? So I think sometimes we have to think it through, and also we will end up striving and living our whole lives striving for something that we may not even want at the end of the day. And if you keep putting this pressure of perfectionism on ourselves, we are just gonna get disappointed and frustrated with ourselves every time, because nothing is perfect and all of us make mistakes. And then if we compare with other people, we expect them to be this version of perfect that we have in our mind, but we're gonna be disappointed again because their definition of perfect and our definition of perfect is different.
It's like when we use our universal ruler to measure someone else, and if they don't like achieve whatever I expect them to, I will be disappointed, setting up myself for failure.
Yeah, exactly. And also like we tend to forget that everyone is different, so we all have different strengths, we all have different weaknesses, skills, dreams, paths. So it really doesn't make sense to measure everything as like you said, the universal ruler.
And I just want to add on to what you said just now, like comparing ourselves with other people. I think that a way that we can kind of stop ourselves from comparing to someone else is doing a reality check. Like whenever you catch yourself thinking, oh, that person is so good at this, so much better than me, I think we should stop ourselves and just like remind ourselves that this person wasn't born to be good at something. Like although all of us have our own talents and we could be particularly good at something, we cannot assume that this person is so good at something because they are just born with it, you know. This person could have done a lot of research, they could have practiced a lot. You just don't know what kind of effort they've put into this. And this could be your first try, your first few attempts. Just cut yourself some slack, tell yourself that you are trying to improve. And while this person is on stage Y and you're on stage A, you just have to take it step by step.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times, like most times, we always expect ourselves to be able to get it right on the first try. And then if we don't, then okay, we may try again and again, but maybe we'll give up like at the 5th try. But maybe other people have been trying for like hundreds of times before they reach where they are now today.
Yeah, and also a bit on how it can be counter-reactive, like I said earlier. For my own personal experience, whenever I want to strive for perfection, when I don't want to mess up, when something's really important to me, I cannot afford to make any mistake, I'm actually really preoccupied at the back of my mind without knowing it. Like, I could be doing this thing, I could be focus on this task right now, but at the back of my mind, I am thinking, I am so gonna mess up. I cannot mess up. What if I do this wrong? What if I get that wrong? And stuff like that. I'm just so preoccupied at the back of my mind that in the end, I cannot solely focus on whatever that I'm doing. I'm so focused on not making any mistakes.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's move on to what we can do to shift our mindset and not be so focused on striving for perfection.
I think one thing that we all can do is by setting an intention to change. Like, be intentional with that change. You have to tell yourself that I want to change, and also tell yourself why you want to change. When we have set that intention in our minds, I feel like it's easier to keep reminding ourselves and also to catch ourselves when we think of like, oh my goodness, I'm not good enough and stuff like that,
Yeah. And also what I did was like I redefined or I changed the way I define my goal or my success to be. So let's say I want to achieve something. Okay, let's say I want to achieve A. So in my journey of achieving A, instead of saying that my end goal is A, my end goal is actually to learn something in the process of achieving A. So as long as I learn something new along the way, then that would be me achieving my goal already. As long as I'm making progress and moving forward, that would count as a success to me already, like despite whether or not I fail or succeed to achieve A.
I really like that. That's something that I've been trying to practice for myself as well.
Yeah.
It gives us a lot more flexibility, and when we don't get the end result that we wanted, when you don't aim for an exact result, for a specific result, instead you try to focus on the process, I feel like it's much more less stressful.
Yeah, and also enjoyable. So
you make
it
you make it very enjoyable. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and you tend to be more like present in the moment.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. The next thing I think we can try is to shift the way we talk to ourselves. Like, when we mess up or when we've made a mistake, instead of saying to yourself, oh my goodness, why did I do this, and why did I make such a stupid mistake and stuff like that, I'm just so bad at this, all the negative talk. And I'm sure it's not just as layman as this. I'm sure some of us actually say pretty hurtful stuff to ourselves. And I think by shifting that very judgmental, condemning way of talking to ourselves into a very supportive way of like, okay, I messed up, so how can I improve the next time, right? Like, shifting from that judgmental way of talking to yourself to a very supportive and kind way. It's kind of like you wouldn't talk to someone who's close to you, someone you care about, in a way that is condemning or judgmental. If someone were to come to me and say like, oh my goodness, I messed up at work today, you wouldn't say, wow, you're really dumb. Like, wow, you're so incapable, why would you do that? We wouldn't say that. We would never do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so why say that to yourself? I mean, it's easier said than done, I know, because all of us say hurtful stuff to ourselves. It's just a very natural reflex. So the main thing here is to catch yourself doing it.
Yeah, is to be mindful of your thoughts.
Correct.
Yeah, like as we mentioned before also, like your thoughts control your feelings control your actions, and your actions control your situation. So if you change your thoughts, then you change everything else as well. So like what you said, it's not easy because talking to ourselves in that negative tone is kind of like a reflex and something that we do like automatically and we don't really catch it. So the main thing is that we have to be mindful of what we're saying to ourselves and being mindful of our thoughts. And one good way of doing this is like you know, when you have thoughts, right, you try to observe them, like you are the observer of your thoughts and you watch them pass by like clouds in the sky and you don't judge them, because we tend to put meaning or like a story to the thought, and then that meaning changes everything. So for example, weight is just a number until you put a meaning to it. So your thoughts are also just thoughts. So don't judge yourself and don't judge your thoughts as bad or good. Because when we do that, we tend to identify ourselves with that, like, oh, I'm a bad person because I have all these bad thoughts.
And I'm lazy, I'm incapable, I'm so bad at this, so bad at that.
Exactly.
You start to label yourself as that.
So I think mainly it's like try to be mindful of your thoughts and then mindful of your speech, what you say to yourself, and also not judge yourself, like be compassionate to yourself.
Correct, which also brings me to another thought, which is when we will have days where we forget about this whole thing of wanting to change or wanting to not pressure ourselves into striving for perfection. You know, there will be days where we totally forgot about this intention, and after a while we'll be like, crap, I thought I told myself I wouldn't be like this anymore. And oftentimes we might feel like we haven't made any progress or we're just back to square one and stuff like that. What I think is important is to accept ourselves, you know, accept yourself for the mistake that you have made. The same thing. Like, you have to tell yourself it's okay that you forgot, or it's okay that you didn't do what you said that you wanted to do, because changing is very difficult and it is definitely not a one-way process. I think a lot of people tend to overlook this. They think that changing or healing is a one-way thing. Today I want to be like this, tomorrow I will be like that. But it's not. There will be days where you totally forgot, or your emotions just became like the best of you and stuff like that. So you just have to be...
It's like going on a diet. Like you stick to this strict diet, and then one day you feel like you want to crave this chocolate chip cookie, and then like you eat the cookie and you're like, oh my god, I ruined my 1 month diet and stuff like that. But it's okay, because it doesn't mean that once you break this cycle you have to start all again.
Or that you fail.
You're not starting again from day one, because your whole process that you've already done, all the things that you've learned, it already changed you as a person. You already grew so much from that. So even if you relapse or something, it doesn't take away all your hard work. You can still try again.
Yes, I love that. Yes.
Okay, so that's it for today's episode.
Okay, so before you guys go, we actually wanted to collect your personal stories or experiences. So we will attach a Google form link in the description. So if you want, please submit your personal experiences or your stories that's relevant to the topic of discussion today, which is pursuing perfection, or maybe having unrealistic expectations for yourself. How did you overcome that? Or maybe you're still struggling with it. We just wanted to bring light to all these stories and experiences to everyone, just to tell it to the rest of the community, to tell them that they are not alone in these things.
And you never know when your story will be able to help 1 or 2 people here. Because the main reason why we're doing these videos is not to offer advice as if we're experts, because we are definitely not experts.
We are not, definitely not.
But we just wanted to let you guys know that you're not alone in tackling these kinds of issues, and that we're all in this together. And like usually this kind of topics that people don't really talk about is something that everyone is going through deep down. Yeah.
So please subscribe and follow our Spotify. Follow our Instagram at rebuilding.you, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!
How we can counter... how we can what? Okay, so that's the end of our video for today.
啊，是这样啊？OK。
OK， 再。
我不可以啊，我真的不可以啊。